This fight can suck my cock and balls.
It can suck Vector's cock and balls?
Yeah, well, this is the fight I was thinking about when I had to confirm in my mind whether Sky Chase was the worst thing about this game or not. This also came to mind.
Ah!
And I can't decide in which one I'm the most unhappy. Because at least in Chaos 4 you're running around doing shit, but I don't know.
I skipped the cutscene. My bad.
I mean, who really cares?
But it's like a triple whammy of lame Knuckles fight, lame Chaos 4 fight, then the extended, what feels like an extended Sky Chase sequence, all back to back.
Yeah, I guess you could just group it all into one. I never really thought of it, but yeah, that entire section is the fucking worst part of this game.
And if you play Tails right after Sonic, it just stinks extra bad. And if you play Knuckles after Tails, it's like...
You know, I've never experimented with your way of playing this game in terms of, like, I always do them in order. I'd kind of like to do them out of order and see how that feels.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I like about this game, is that's kind of like, it's not to say that, like, the repetitiveness is not an issue, but, like, you can, at the very least, like, determine how much of an issue it is depending on how you play.
It seems very cursed to me, though, because I'm trying to imagine ever playing Dark Story first, and it just feels odd. Like,
well, I always thought you do play Dark Story first, because,
well, I mean, I guess you can, like, timeline event-wise, sure, but, like, in my brain, if I don't do hero side story first, it just feels wrong. And I don't know. That's kind of how I approach this game, too. I just go around the circle. Which I guess kind of contributes to, like, making Big even more weird. Just because I play Gamma last, but I always play him near the end, so it's a bit like you're kind of saving one of the worst things for the last things.
Yeah. I'm curious about something. I was gonna, like... I want to see if this actually works.
I'm not sure where you have to put the plane, but there is a part where you don't have to move, and I don't know what part that is, but
I heard it's like the lower right-hand side.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, we're gonna be here
if there
for
was
a bit.
any time to go on a tangent, it would be right now.
Okay, so this is why I think Golden Sun is also postmodern art.
Yeah.
It's not because Exo was talking about postmodernism. And it's also not because I'm drinking Captain Morgan right now. It's just because it's just because I've been in the mood to play it again.
Yeah.
That's it.
Makes sense.
I like to make posts about it on modern social media platforms. Does that count?
You know, maybe it does.
I hope so. I hope that's valid.
I've been really meaning to play Golden Sun, but, like, I'm also just...
I mean, you got other shit to do.
Yeah. I have to play too much. Too much is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I honest to God, do want to play Golden Sun. It just keeps falling through the cracks.
Hey, honestly, I hope to God I don't, like... I don't mean to hype these games up as saying, like, oh, no, fuck Xenoblade or shit like that. It's just more so, like, these games do the kind of things that I like. Like, in the sense, you know, you got, like, Xenoblade, we're talking about that, and, like, how really there's really not much there in terms of gameplay. And I think Golden Sun's kind of like the exact opposite of that, where it's, like, the gameplay, I think, is really fun, but the story's kind of mid. But in Xenoblade, like, the story's really good, but the gameplay's kind of mid. Because you got, like, cool dungeons and shit, and, like, cool psychic abilities that you can do, and it's like a Zelda RPG. I think it's rad.
That's kind of what draws me to it, really. That's why I want to play it. I don't really expect the world from it or anything. It just...
You don't expect the world, you expect the sun.
Titles that I always heard about back in the day. Can I say back in the day now? That I don't know. You guys are older than me. I don't think I have the right to say that.
Shit, I mean, the game's, like, over 20 years old at this point.
But I feel like now that I'm 25, I can say shit like back in the day. I give myself that right. Mid-20s.
Yeah.
That's when you get it.
Well, speaking of things from back in the day, we've only got this and last story left at this point. I've been kind of saving this discussion where I feel like nostalgia gets kind of a bad rap, just in general, where it's like, you only like this game because you're nostalgic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's kind of the only value I get out of Sonic Adventure 1 nowadays, is the nostalgic value.
Rude.
Because, like, and I'm not even saying that in a mean way necessarily. What I'm saying is, when I was a kid, I remember renting Sonic Heroes. I saw the commercial where they had, like, old superheroes in it.
Yeah!
So I rented Sonic Heroes, and I'm like, I like this. So I rented Sonic Adventure, and I played that. And it kind of, like, blew my mind back when I was, like, 7 or 8. This was on the GameCube, because I didn't have a Dreamcast until I was, like, 22. So... This game was a staple of my childhood. I played it probably 50 times all the way through. Well, after a certain point. I didn't play big for the longest time, so I didn't even know there was a last story. But eventually I did beat big, I did play, and then there was like this hidden last story I never knew existed, and then I got to experience that, and then I played it over and over again. And, you know, like, I remember liking the story, I remember liking everything in it, but then at some point, something in my mind, something like just flipped like a switch in my mind, and I just couldn't enjoy it that same way anymore. So, but it's like, when I see some of these cutscenes, and then especially when I hear the music, like, I can feel like the essence of what I used to be able to feel for this game, you know?
Yeah.
Is he farting?
Yeah.
He's yawning.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna edit in a green fart cloud and post.
You better. Don't fart block me.
Interesting, really. You know, I think these days I value the subjective perspective experience of somebody way more than anything else. And it's also made me, like, kind of think about that nostalgia is, like, just something I kind of don't even think about anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, the things we're drawn to, it's like a thing that nobody else can really have because it's based entirely on you. And I guess a word for it can be nostalgia, but it's also just like our perspectives are so unique anyway that what really is nostalgia in the grand scheme of things, you know? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't really think of it as much of a stigma as I used to, is a better way to phrase that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the stigma might actually just come from, like, how nostalgia has just been, like, a tool to, like, market shows, movies, games, or whatever.
Yeah. I guess when I say nostalgia, I definitely recognize that it leads to some interesting moves in the media landscape, but, like, in terms of exploiting it for, you know, I don't even know what you call it.
You have to have a new Ghostbusters movie every 6 years.
Yeah, shit like that.
And also, like, how people just kind of use nostalgia as a way to dismiss, like, any kind of, like, oh, you know, like, well, this game's a good example of it. It's just like, oh, you only like this game because you grew up with it.
Yeah, I guess that's more so what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
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 Which at this point, I don't really even view as an issue anymore because it's not like a competition, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that the nostalgia thing always felt to me like this is like some rule of, what's the word? Some like faux pas or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I mean, certainly, like, I don't know. It's like, it's a bias in the same way that anything we have is a bias, really.
My train of thought is, hey, like what you like for whatever reason you want, just don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
That is a good mantra to live by.
And it's like, I remember 100 years ago when Paul did his video on Xenoblade on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about his experiences with, like, the story for the first time back in, like, 2011 or whenever it was. And it was kind of like that was kind of in the back of my head when I was playing the game for the first time, but it just, didn't connect with me in that way. Which is not really a flaw of the game or of Paul necessarily. It's just more to say that, we as humans can have very intense, specific experiences with the media we consume. And those experiences are legitimate and meaningful.
Yeah. I couldn't actually say that any better than you just did. But I agree with that. I think Xenoblade 1, honestly, part of the reason I probably like it a lot is because how old was I when I played that? It was like 2012, something I played it. But I guess what matters is it's old enough now that it's like definitely nostalgic for me. And there's no getting around that.
I remember fucking, like, exploring the fucking world just to find a copy of that game. When it was on the Nintendo Wii.
But it's funny because my local GameStop was selling it for only like $40 at the time. When I got it.
The thing with that game is that, like, Nintendo of America was just like, nah, fuck you, we're gonna make it like a GameStop exclusive. Why they were like that, I don't know.
Well, originally they weren't even going to release it in North America. Nope. Fans had to, like, beg for Nintendo to get their heads out of their asses and fucking release the game so they could make money off of it.
It wasn't even just that game. It was Last Story and Pandora's Tower, and even then it was Xseed that published those two games in America. And the Nintendo of America was like, sure, whatever, we'll do Xenoblade, but we're going to take the Chibi Robo route and try to, like, screw the game over.
Are they, like... I must have gotten mine before it got real bad.
Yeah, I remember that game used to be, like, it was extremely limited, and then, like, when they stopped, like, printing copies, like, GameStop would sell those games for, like, $70-$80 pre-owned.
Actually, this is kind of random, but the only reason I even played Xenoblade was because it was Chuck Conway's favorite game. And I was like, wow, he has so much passion for this, I should pick it up. And that's the only reason.
It took me a while to get into Xenoblade. Because I eventually did get on the Wii, and I didn't really care for it. And then X came out, and I liked it, but I never beat it. And then it took me fucking forever to beat 2. Like, I was so on and off on that game, but I eventually came out, like, really liking it. But it took me a long time to get to that point.
I'll tell you, it was a miracle I made it through, like, chapters 3 and 4.
Yeah, those are the absolute worst parts of that game.
It's like, it's fortunate that that game had, in my opinion, a really good first 2 chapters. Because it gave me the interest to want to see it through.
Yeah.
Because when that orphan girl steals the boat, and you spend like an hour stopping brigands or whatever, I just wanted to shut it off.
Yeah.
But you know what? Those games led to 3, and 3's probably one of my favorite JRPGs ever, so fuck it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, well, you were saying it's your new favorite game of all time.
What happened? What'd you say, XO?
King was saying on his Twitter that 3 is his new favorite game of all time.
I'm strongly considering it as such, yes.
It's very good.
I want to wait till I write about it soon, but yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards it because the more I think about it, the more almost everything in it resonated with me. So I don't know. I definitely like it more than 1 at this point.
Well, for me, 1 is dead last. I got almost nothing out of that game.
Man.
I like 1 and 2 sort of equally, but I guess if you put me at gunpoint, then I prefer 1 over 2. But I like them both pretty equally.
Yeah, I give like Xenoblade 1 like a solid B. You know?
I give it a solid Chungus.
I would give it a solid Snake.
But yeah, I think it might be.
Exo, what's your favorite game of all time? Is it Mario 2, the 6 golden coins?
You know, there's someone out there whose favorite game is that. And I just want to say to you, that's pretty awesome.
I was about to say,
keep being you.
That game's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the world where you go inside Mario.
For the record, I actually quite like Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. That's not the reason I was laughing.
So
it's just
I'm definitely not trashing on it, but
also for the record, I also like Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins.
It's just I was not expecting that to be what you brought up. I know there was probably a time where I would have said Paper Mario or DKC2, but I'm not so sure about that anymore.
I remember you were like super into DKC2.
No, I still really like that game in a lot of aspects. It's just that I actually haven't played it in a while.
You should.
Yeah, that game is awesome. I honestly like the whole trilogy a lot.
After my giant rant about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I've been trying to play less platformers. Kind of recoup, allow my interest in that genre to kind of refresh a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is part of why I played Xenoblade, just to try something different.
Well, I'm glad you came out of it mostly liking it.
Yeah. But you know what you should do now?
What?
We should stream Final Fantasy 14. Listen, we gotta get you in the gold saucer.
It's honestly, Ryan, whenever you're on, I usually assume you're just in the gold saucer.
No, today I actually signed on. I was doing the Reaper job quests.
Oh, I really like that job quest. It's cool.
The Dragoon one's still my favorite. I have to do those.
Have you done you haven't done the Stormblood ones yet?
I have.
Oh, no, yeah, those are cool. I think those are the last ones, though.
What? There's none in Shadowbringers?
No, because what they do in Shadowbringers onwards is that everybody has the same role quest depending on your role.
That's what she said.
She said,
They got to a point where they were like, we're going to add like 2 new jobs.
In Sonic High School. Remember when, I want to say, that Dark Doom Firemaster wrote something to the effect of Sonic's penis looking like a skyscraper or something? When he, in the final sex scene? Yeah,
I don't remember
You remember it perfectly, don't you, Ryan?
No. Morgan. Captain Morgan, help. Help me.
How much of that you... Right. Are we allowed to say that on YouTube? Maybe don't say that.
Don't say what?
I know on Twitch you're allowed to talk about it, but you just can't, like, be weird about it. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are and that kind of thing.
I wasn't drinking Captain Morgan, I was drinking...
Gatorade.
Yes.
You were drinking from Captain Morgan.
Yeah, yeah.
Captain Morgan had some mayonnaise for you.
Listen. Captain Morgan is a very nice lady. You don't have to talk about her mayonnaise like that.
I wasn't under the impression that Captain Morgan was a woman.
This one is. I'm not gonna elaborate. I'm just gonna stop before I get myself in trouble. I like it when Tails gets out of the rock and he goes, ah! I like that. It's a nice touch.